What's cracking? Back with another installment. Hey, my cugines, paisanos in the building. You know what I mean? Two absolute legends in the streets. You know what I mean? Like, actually, these are two upstanding, fine, tax-paying citizens. Ain't never hurt nobody. All right? Introduce yourselves to these people.
Yeah, so I'm Anthony Arillotta. I'm a former member of the Genovese crime family, based out of Springfield, Massachusetts.
The 413.
The 413. There you go.
Love it out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm my mom's side of the family is Italian, so I got family all through the East Coast.
Okay, and you've been up that way?
Oh yeah, I've been up that way.
Yeah.
And for some battle, there's shouts to 413 Battle League. There's actually a battle rap league out there.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah, my boy TD3. Yeah, it's a really as a cultural little town right there.
It is.
A lot going on.
Yep. It was heavily dominated with Italian immigrants and a dangerous city. You know, it was always in the top 10 per capita of violence and murders and all that. As far as you know, it's still like that.
And now there's like a lot more like Puerto Ricans, Dominicans.
There's always been that, you know, and it's the most dangerous city. And I don't think it's dangerous, but you know, it gets that told in the whatever newspapers and everything that it's a dangerous city. It is the most dangerous city in Mass.
And is that primarily due to organized crime?
No, I mean back 60s, 70s, yeah, it was, and I don't think it was the most dangerous city. You know, anything was that bad back then. But as far as organized crime presence, there was a lot bigger presence, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s compared to today.
Right. And this guy that you got with you today, straight from Queens, New York.
Gene Borrello, former gangster for the Borrello crime family.
That's right. That's right. So, how did you guys first wind up crossing paths and working together?
Farrington, New Jersey.
Okay.
Federal prison.
Okay.
That was the first guy I met when I walked in there. I was looking for Italian mob guys. Like, they got to be in here.
Yeah.
There was only like 3 of us. He was one of them.
Yeah, and he was a cool dude. As soon as we met, we
Yeah.
hung out, and I was actually going home a little while later, so I left in 2017.
Okay.
And he left maybe, I think, a year later? Or
2 years, yeah.
later?
Yeah.
Something I wanted to ask about, and I want to go back and do it somewhat chronologically, but something that stood out to me from the No Jumper interview was you were behind the walls with K-Flock at one point.
Well, I was in the hole with him, and he was in the tier. Yeah.
So you were activated somewhat recently. That means.
Well, I just came out. Just September. I just did a violation. I did a total of like 20-something months in violations, but I just did 8 months in MDC Brooklyn. Everybody was there, you know?
Yeah. And it's always been a really interesting relationship between hip-hop culture and Mafia culture.
Right.
You know, and there's been a prevailing influencers of the whole mob era of rap music in the 90s when you had every Wu-Tang member had a alias, you know what I mean? A mob alias.
Gotti, Capone.
Yeah, exactly. There was Cool G-Rap was, deep, pushing that Corona Queens mafioso lifestyle raps. Even Hove, Jay-Z came in with what were y'all thoughts at that time like about hip hop and its
I liked hip hop, you know what I mean? I always my era was more hip hop, you know what I mean? That's what we listened to. We still talk the way we talk, but we listen to the rap music, you know? I liked it for the most part though. Like they represent the gangs, a lot of them, but they always looked up to the Italians. That's just what it was. It's the culture that we started this shit, you know what I'm saying? And we paved the way, and the way we did it was so good, they wanted to do it just like how we did it, you know?
And made it look so damn cool.
Right,
too.
exactly.
The fits and everything.
Yeah.
The suits, the Armani suits, the Versace, all that. You guys like kept it extra flea on another level.
And there was too, like back then, the Mafia was a force to be reckoned with. They controlled most of the streets, rackets, and they had a full army. It wasn't before the racketeering RICO law came out that decimated them and started breaking them down. So, in a way, it was like the hip hop was the gangsters were living the gangster life, and the hip hoppers were singing about the gangster life.
Right.
And then it started switching when the gangs started getting more prominent and more on the streets, whereas they started being involved in that gangster life and replacing kind of like the Italian organized crime as the years went on.
it's almost similar to what you see nowadays with the cartels, how they have the musicians that make narco corridos music, and
Right.
you know what I mean. It's essentially songs that are glorifying and aggrandizing.
Yeah,
that
that's what
lifestyle.
happens.
Yeah.
You know, just like the movies too. You know, the rappers and the hip hop, the young guys listening to that are get glorified. They're talking about shooting and killing and doing all this violence, and the young guys gravitate towards that. Just like the Italians, it was mostly the Godfather movie, the Goodfellas movie. You know, Scarface, the movies, and we want to be like the gangsters. And
That's what I wanted. It's funny you brought it. It's a perfect segue for me to ask this question. Out of all the Mafia movies, which you know I'm a huge fan of the genre, huge connoisseur, as so many people are, as one of the best types of, you know, you mentioned several masterpieces just now.
Yeah.
What do you feel like is the most accurate? If are any of those movies accurate to the lifestyle of the mob?
Absolutely. We always get X's question, to be honest with you. Goodfellas is probably the most accurate. Donnie Brasco is too. They lied about the agent chopping bodies up. That's bullshit. But I'm saying, as far as like most accurate, real names, real people, is Goodfellas, 100%. That's my neighborhood.
And everybody knows
Yeah.
those movies. Like The Godfather, to me, like 1 and 2 was great. Goodfellas was accurate, but I throw it. So everyone knows those, but I'll bet you 2 that you guys don't heard.
That's
of.
okay. This is what I want to hear. Yeah.
So Gomorrah, you know, that to me was, you know, that Netflix series.
Yeah.
I came home from prison in 2017, and I watched that series 3 times. I mean, that was such a unbelievable mafia. It was based out of Italy, so it was more Italian organized crime in Italy, but it was such a real mafia movie. And another one I always liked was The Pope of Greenwich Village.
Oh, that was good.
Never have not seen that one.
That was
But
definitely
you never
good.
really hear a lot of people talking about that one. And also, like, what was the one? I forget the name of it.
What about is a Bronx Tale somewhat?
I didn't know.
accurate?
That to us, that's the worst mafia movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
more about Chaz Palminteri's life. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
I'm not against them. I'm just saying it wasn't. It was
Casino
based on
was-
gangsters. Like Casino was good too, but
what's the other one?
Chicago guys, you know, like.
No, but what's the other one?
Hoodlum. There's
No,
Hoodlum.
what's the other one? Donnie Brasco.
Donnie
That's what I'm
Brasco.
saying.
Yeah,
They lied
yeah.
about Joe Pistone chopping
Yeah, oh,
bodies
yeah,
up.
yeah,
yeah.
Wasn't chopping
Once
bodies.
Upon a Time in America. That was pretty good. Yeah.
So for the most part, like there's accurate elements, but a lot of them are kind of lacking.
Yeah, it's fab. A lot of it's because Henry Hill had nothing to do with the Lufthansa. He didn't even know about it.
Right.
He just got it from secondhand.
Oh, he had nothing to do with the Lufthansa.
Nothing to do with it at all. Nothing. My boss committed that crime.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the one I worked for committed that crime with Jimmy Burke and them. He didn't even bring him up in it. He didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? It was just he had secondhand information. You know,
Yeah.
he knew his friends did it. He didn't have nothing to do with it.
That's crazy right there. That's crazy, but it makes sense. Hollywood's gonna.
And good thing he
put their
didn't
spin
because
on
they
it.
would have killed him.
Oh, he would've
because
got
he killed
smoked.
everybody. They killed everybody
I used to
for
trip
being
out
on that case.
back in the day when I think he was still. Because like Henry Hill's kind of like emerged in society, like re-emerged.
Well, he's
right?
dead
Like,
now. He died,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he had like there was a while where you could like.
He was on Howard Stern.
Right. But when he was the initial calls he was making to Howard Stern, and I want to say this was back in the 90s. This
was.
is a matter of years
Yeah.
after Goodfellas had come out. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, he's going to get got.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, and back then he would have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And would you say right now there is still power within the Italian mob, the 5 families?
Okay, you go first on that.
So definitely not. I always answer it like this. They're definitely not. The mafia isn't the same as it was 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You know, our era going up to then. Now it's completely different. There is a mafia. It's still there. Like, you know, it's not that it didn't went away, but the street rackets aren't the same anymore. Sports gambling is legal. Loan sharking is a dead business. You know, it's the number business isn't there no more. There's not really the street rackets that they controlled back then. Now, the unions and the legitimate businesses that they have, the big families, the Genovese, the Gambino bosses, still intact, but they isolated themselves in a way where they're like retired. You know, they're living somewhere else. I don't even think they hang around in New York City, even if they do, Florida. And
No,
they don't want.
Providence probably still got some activity.
Yeah,
right?
they don't want anything to do with, You know, they put someone else as a front boss. They put someone else as the lightning rod. Meanwhile, they just isolate themselves and don't come around no more.
Right.
They're not committing violence anymore. Murder doesn't exist, and murder doesn't exist because that's what brings the big, heavy sentences with the racketeering cases. And they don't control the streets like they used to control them and have the dominant presence that they once had.
Right.
They're still, I believe, so this is what I say, I still believe they're going to exist. I still believe they're going to last for a long time, but in a way like a secret club, like a networking club where there's no murders, no violence. If you fuck up, they throw you out of the club and they banish you where you can't network and make money amongst us no more. Nobody will talk to you. You know, you're banished, some sort of thing like that. Because let's just talk about money is the power.
Right.
And if you cut off someone's money supply, you're killing them. So they're not going to kill you with the bullet now. They're going to kill you with the cutting off your money supply and make, a bum out of you.
I also assume that there's a level of sophistication and growth in society that Italian people have achieved to the point where they're able to reappropriate a lot of that money into legitimate means.
Well, that's what they all do. Every
Yeah.
smart guy that's the mafia guy, he's making illegal money and he's putting it somewhere, real estate, silent partners in restaurants, and building up their empire. And then usually what happens is, you start off making your first million and then you're up to 10 million and now you're trying to wean your way off the streets and leave that, leave the gambling, leave the shylock, and leave the numbers, leave all the violence, and just walk, go in the sunset. And that's pretty much impossible to do, but they are the top guys in the Genovese family are doing it. There's a couple in the Gambinos, with those guys, Lorenzo, and those guys are doing all right. But the only reason they're doing all right is they're not killing anybody no more.
Right.
And they're mostly like the legitimate businesses of those top guys. They're worth hundreds of millions. Like you got the guy Barney and all the top guys in the Genovese family. You can't get near them, and they're all worth hundreds of millions.
Big money.
Construction,
Right.
The concrete, real estate.
And they're clearly in probably with local municipalities.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
A legitimate
See,
business.
he's right. What he just said is completely right. But there's still a family that's still killing. Canada. They're out of control out there. Canada don't have RICO Act, by the way.
Right.
So they kill people all the time out there in Mafia. So that's still the same. I don't know. As far as the 5 families, the violence is gone. It's completely gone. I was the last hurrahs, they called us, the 80s babies. We were still running around being fucking nuts. After my era, it's completely washed up. And what you said is true. They evolved. They made a lot of money, right?
Right.
What happens? The kids that are coming up, what aren't they? They're not hungry. They're not starving. They're not going to go grab that gun and mask and go do a stick up or go do something to make a name for themselves because they're privileged kids.
Yes, they're not coming
Their
from a place
daddy
of
and their grandpa
desperation.
paved the way and got all the money now. So it's completely dead. There's no one coming up no more. There's no dangerous. Bro, there was 100 guys like me in the street.
Yeah.
I'm a dime a dozen when it was rocking.
Right.
I'm a wild guy, crazy. I was a dime a fucking dozen in the 90s and 2000s. You know what I mean? There's no more of that. So for the Italian Mafia, if you have a guy like me right now in the street, they won't last 60 days in the street because the fucking feds will take him right out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's completely dead, man. Yeah.
Now, you brought up the numbers racket, which, from my understanding, is based on which horses win and the numbers of the horse, right?
It used to be. I switched that when I took over our numbers business, but you're right. It was usually the daily news. They would get the paper, and it was the handle of the last 3 or 4 digits of the handle.
But that goes back to like the 30s and 40s, right?
I switched that though with the moderation of the new, it became on TV. They take the balls and the balls would come up and you pick the numbers. Yeah, so I switched that and we did the same exact thing as the state, whatever the state.
So it literally became a straight up lottery.
Yeah, so at 10:30 at night was the drawing. I'm Connecticut and Mass, numbers. So at 10:30 at night on Fox News they did the live drawing. So we switched it from the handle in the Daily News, New York Daily News. That was the going to be the number, and which I believe can be fixed.
Yeah,
somebody's writing that number on the handle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You get to that
course.
guy and you pay him off. I believe that could be fixed, but
easily.
So we not only that, you got more time now because the number wasn't pulled till 10:30 at night.
Right,
and it gave people more excitement because instead of the handle, now they can actually see the number getting the balls coming up and getting pulled live.
That's crazy.
That's the most out of all my businesses. I mean, I had everything that every street business there was, I was involved in, and they were all great, lucrative.
That was the most lucrative?
No. It was the very lucrative business, But all the other ones were just as probably more lucrative. You know, the marijuana, sports gambling, loan shark, and joker poker, racket. You know, all the rackets there was. That one was the most stressful. You could have, so you need a bankroll. Let's just say we had 300,000 bankroll. You have to leave that there because in 3 days that could be wiped out.
All it takes is somebody hitting on
and then how much you're going to have on a number determines it. So when I took it over, I sat on everything instead of edging off to the state. Like, say you want to keep $100 number, but you got 160. What are you going to do with that other $60? So they were edging it off to the state. They were actually betting those numbers with the state. When I took over, I kept it all. So you know, I had times when a 300. You know, I used to keep a $300,000 bankroll. I used to have a beeper on me. And that beeper was, if it was all ones, that means we got hit with a big number. And then the number after it would be how much we got hit for, you know, like that. It was a nerve-wracking
You never
business.
finesse, you guys never? Because that seems like it'd be easy for y'all to fix. Like
You can't. The workers could fucking rob you, but we were on top of them. We cleaned them out. Like,
okay.
So it starts with the bodegas and everyone picking up the numbers. Then they got to get those numbers and drop them off to our guys. Once those guys get it, and they're in our hands, and then you have to have somebody that you trust so you have to have two separate people that on it, because that's how you get robbed. Whoever's collecting and getting the numbers, they could put 453 came out after the number came out at 10:30. But if you got two sets of numbers and he puts down 453, how can he put 453 when this guy doesn't have it?
Right.
And it's impossible. You can't finagle it any other way because I told you it's coming out of the balls.
Right.
You know, so whatever that number is on TV, Channel Fox every night, 10:30, the live drawing. Let's do the 3-digit. Then let's go to the 4-digit. There's
and
no
I
way
guess you can't have multiple balls with the same number, because if two of them happen to come up, like you're
that's done.
If you have same thing, your whole cover.
Yeah. You see them all spinning and all that, and you know, you can't fix that.
So no, that's interesting stuff right there. And then eventually that just got phased out as well.
No, I had that all the way up until 2010.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great business. And you know, we were grossing just off, and my numbers business, I was doing 80,000 a week. And then we also had the edge off, which I was doing another 7 to 10 a week. And you know, I never got hit with the edge off. That was just like 7,000 a week, 350,000 a year, and we never got hit while I was doing it.
Yeah, no, that's.
But that you would have wasted it if you gave it away. You would have made the state 350,000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and fuck taxes, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too.
Well, that's why they play with us. They don't pay.
Yeah.
That's why the people play with us, because they don't pay taxes when they hit.
Makes perfect sense.
You know.
I say we bring the numbers back.
Yeah.
I'm pro
like
number racket.
And you don't go to prison too if you get caught.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah, you're not.
You shouldn't.
Well, we will.
Yeah, we're gonna.
It might be a little different.
Yeah.
Now, Gene, so growing up over there, Howard Beach is the name of the neighborhood. That's a nicer part of Queens, right? Like,
I mean, it is, but it's not. You know what I mean?
But it's still activated.
It was crazy. Yeah, that neighborhood was the most corrupt fucking suburb you'll ever see in your life. I mean, you had 4 bosses living there at once, with just soldiers and captains, and just, you know, you got into the wrong fight with the wrong kid, you were getting thrown in a trunk the next day.
It's all bad.
You know what I mean? You hit so-and-so's uncle, they come with 10 carloads of looking for you. It sucked.
So what was your first crime that you ever committed?
For them or for like myself?
Just in general. Like,
I was catching a lot of assault cases when I was younger, like assault weapons, assaults, like stupid shit like that. But you know, I was always a bad kid, and I was always violent and doing bad shit in school and getting kicked out and just couldn't do it. And I knew I was going to be I always knew I was going to be in the street and doing things. I just never knew I was going to be doing that. You know what I mean?
Was like at that time, growing up in New York at that time, it seemed like there's a lot of like. LA is a very racially divided town. You know
right.
What I mean?
My neighborhood was, yes.
So yours is
Howard Beach, you couldn't even sell to the real estate wasn't allowed to sell to anybody but
Italians.
Italian, Irish, German, you know. Yeah.
White people.
Yes.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow nobody in the area.
And was there tension with other races?
No, that neighborhood just had a bad reputation. You know what I mean? We just didn't allow nobody over there if you weren't from over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just basically territory thing. Now, something that you guys were talking about in Adam's interview was the fact that you said that a primary difference between gangs nowadays and how they operate is you feel like money motivation is not as high of a priority as it was back in when you guys were doing what y'all do?
Well, I think here's the thing: the gangs. I'm not saying they come from a very poverty area. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have nothing. They don't understand the dollar, I guess, yet. But they're just walking out the house at 15, 16 years old with a gun and just shooting it for no reason. You know what I mean? You know, if a lot of these shootings, they hit everybody but the target. You know what I mean? It's horrible. So they doing color banging. They're doing whatever they're doing, and then they go to jail with absolutely nothing, not a cent. So us, it's more about money. Right. We're being sent to hurt you. It's mostly over money. Everybody I always hurt for Ronnie was over money.
And that was essentially your primary...
I hurt people. That's what I did for a living. That's what I did for a living, man. You could say my title wasn't like they say, you're the enforcer. It's just I inherited that title of being a wild kid. Whenever something needed to be handled, I got the job to go do it.
And I know you got a book, and I believe it sold, what, like 15,000, 20,000?
Yeah, it was bestseller.
Yeah, bestselling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That,
yes.
by the way. That's
they told me books don't sell no more.
Yeah, hey, even if we're listening to it, is it available in audio
No,
form?
but that's what they told me when it came out. Books don't sell no more, but I crushed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do the audio. I didn't do that one.
No, okay, so it's strictly, you got to read it. You
got to read it.
I love that. I love that. Although it would be cool to hear you narrate.
I know they keep everyone asking me about that. Everyone is. I know.
Because like the way you have that charisma,
right.
and the way you tell stories, I think that would be dope.
Yeah, a lot of people keep DMing me about that.
Now I know there's a lot of stories in that book, so I would encourage people go copy.
It's a great book. Yeah, people love it. Mm-hmm. Action pack.
What? As far as being an enforcer, is there like what's one of the craziest stories or something?
Oh, I mean, there's one story where Ronnie G's sister got disrespected. This guy Angelo Giuseppe called her a fat cunt by school, and I guess he didn't realize that was Ronnie's sister. And Ronnie was away at the time, and Vinny and Sarah got a hold of it. And now Angelo Giuseppe. His uncle's Conrad, a captain in the Genovese family who answers directly to Barney. And Vinny didn't give a fuck. And Vinny told me basically, I want you to get him by any means necessary. Beat him senseless and let him know why he's being beat. I guess he got the word that it was, then he found out that this guy, Judy, was related to Ronnie and Vinny. He wouldn't come out of his house. I sat at him for 2 days. Look, 2 days straight from morning till night. I never left the house. Finally, the third day, the cable guys were going in to do cable with him. I went in with the cable guys with a baton. I beat him all over the house. I broke his hand. His mother was in the middle of us. I'm whacking the friggin' thing. The baton's hitting the ceiling. It's like a little apartment. I'm fighting cable guys, walk out, destroy his car. And this is all in broad daylight on a summer day.
Wow.
All right, that's just a little one of my little adventures.
And what's your? Did y'all like have the police paid off, or like,
no?
Are they?
So
are they on your helmet? Super
no.
tough?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. This is how it works mostly in that neighborhood. They don't call cops.
Okay.
You don't want to be known as the guy who's calling cops in the neighborhood. You get chased out. They might set your cars on fire, get them out of the neighborhood. Stuff like that. Nobody wants to deal with that. The families. So usually they don't call cops. They just take what they got coming to them and they'll just let it be or retaliate. You know what I mean? That's mostly what I dealt with.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, what something that I was always really curious about is, how do y'all feel about the fact that, like, obviously there's a code of honor and you
right.
sign that contract,
right.
and nowadays it's just very like. Do you guys have different views on cooperating with law enforcement for lesser time, and things like that?
I'll go first on this. My view is this: I'm not justifying or anything like that. But when a man's trying to take 20 years and I can't get it, I'm literally trying to cop out to a 20-year sentence. I know I can't get it, and no one's helping me, and I'm sitting there. And you're a multimillionaire, you won't pay my federal attorney. My own cousin wore a wire on me. All my friends are cooperating against me. It kind of puts a fucking sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Where's the fucking loyalty? Where's everything I did for you? I'm shooting people for you in broad fucking daylight. Okay? I shot one of my friends for you. I did this for you. I did that for you. You're telling my mother goes, he needs federal attorney money. He said, what happened to all his money? Like, are you serious? Now, I sat up for 19 months before I even did that. But like I said, they made it easy for me to do it. How about that?
So you don't regret doing that?
No, I don't. If they did the right thing by me, I would say I'm a fucking scumbag. I would tell the whole world right now, you know what? I'm a fucking scumbag. They did the right thing by me. They paid my lawyer. They made sure. My mother gave me commissary money. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. No,
all right? Yeah. So it's like, fuck you, almost.
What are your thoughts on it?
So I have no regrets about leaving that life. But at that time, it's a hard decision to make to wanna, you're torn to pieces. Even though you don't want to surrender and give up, you want to blow your brains out before you make that decision to do that. But now, years later, I mean, it was a simple decision to do. I mean, I don't have no regrets. It was.
Well, I'm talking to y'all right now, which is cool.
Yeah. And we're living a great life, and there's always a story to a story, and within the story, it's a treacherous life. Like you just said, you don't know who the informants are. It could be your own boss that's the informant. It could be, and the streets are loaded with them, filled with them. I think anybody that cooperates, on a 5-year sentence, 10-year sentence, that's disgusting. I think the whole thing in general.
So if you just get 5, sit down and take it.
Yeah, I did 13 years in prison in my life.
I mean, it took like them to throw everything at us to do that. I mean, like literally, I had to be facing life. Everyone telling on me, lost this. My brother's facing 7 years because of me, because of fucking my cousin set him up with a gun. It's like you have to throw every obstacle at me to even
it makes
think about
it easier if someone tells on you first, right?
Well, they all told on me, yeah.
Yeah, my boss put me with a guy that we were told was an informant, and he was an informant since the 90s. I asked permission to kill him, that he wouldn't give me the permission. He protected the guy. I go to prison, then my boss is doing 5 years, and he's not in the system no more. My lawyer tells me he's not in the he was doing 5 years at Fort Dix. He's not in the system no more.
So that means he's no longer.
Well, they suspected that he turned. He flipped, and at this point, we already got 2 made guys and 2 other guys on murder conspiracy charges, death penalty cases. And it's not like they just give everybody, I want to cooperate, and they're going to let you out of prison. No. Nobody, you have to be something and someone to get that type of a deal. And, we've been in prison 13 years. Everybody is whining and crying while they're in prison to get out. Or I got framed. They did this to me. If prison was such a good place, why are they doing countdowns of how many days they got left? Hey, I got 2 years and a wake up. They're all calling up, their family coming off the phone sometimes crying. Right. If prison is so good and so great, why do they all cry and whine and are happy when the day they're getting released? As far as, that goes. Now,
I imagine they want some pussy first and foremost.
Well, everything in life.
But yeah, no, absolutely. It reminds me of that scene in Shawshank Redemption where they're all like, I'm innocent. My lawyer fucked me. Yeah. And Morgan Freeman's like, you're talking to the one guilty man in Shawshank Penitentiary.
Yeah, right.
What are y'all thoughts on Sammy the Bull Garvano?
We were just with him. Yeah, 2 nights ago. Yeah.
I get along with him.
Yeah.
I get along with him. But you understand, Sammy was, Sammy's part of history. So, it's like, I understand whatever he did, but at the end of the day, he's still Sammy Garvano. He's part of like the biggest things that happen in organized crime. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and people don't realize, they always say that he cooperated, this, what he did, but with or without him, Gotti was getting life.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets that. Like they just took Sammy to say like, this is what the Mafia is now. Because we got just a underboss and a powerful organization, and we flipped them. The Mafia is dead now. Everyone thought like, Gotti's going to prison. But with or without him, Gotti was a dead man. He was going to jail for the rest of his life.
He's right. You want to know something? And he could tell you because he was a rank. You know what you're taught? Let's say you ordered me to kill someone, right? I do the murder for you, right? We're not even allowed to talk about it. You can't. If you, the boss of the family. Yeah. The boss of the family can come up to me and go, good piece of work. You look at him like this, like you're crazy.
Right.
It's forbidden to repeat a murder. So for you to be a boss sitting there going, kill Louis the B, kill da-da-da, kill da-da-da, where they told me, I was trained, Gene, if the boss of the family goes, good work, what you did, you fucking look at him like he's crazy. There's no fucking statute of limitation.
Right. I had several murders and murder conspiracy, charges and everything, and you could never get me to say a word about any of them. My boss one time, we killed a guy, my brother-in-law, and he just disappeared.
So okay, I wanted to ask you about that because I heard about that story. So.
Right, and he asked me where he is. I'll tell you what happened, but he asked me what happened, and I said I don't know. I think he left my sister-in-law and took off to Florida with another girl, or he's on drugs. Something, I would never talk about a murder, But like with him in particular,
except for this murder, which we're about to talk about right now.
But, I'm no longer part of that life, and I pled guilty to it.
Yeah, of course. And
so,
of course.
So again, I'm going to talk about it. So, Yeah, so we were going to kill him in '96. He had a case with my friend, but
he fucked up, obviously.
Well, my friend wanted to kill him because without him, he thought he could beat the case.
Okay.
But we didn't kill him that time. Somebody knew that one of the guys coming with us to kill him knew, so we had to call it off.
Was he gonna get smoked, and then you could basically pin it on him, like, oh, it was this fool?
No, we were going to pick him up, bring him in a van, shoot him, and throw him outside. That's how we were going to do that. We were younger, and they went to go pick him up. He knocked on the door, and his girlfriend wasn't supposed to be there, answered. He wasn't there. So now they're going to say that, yeah, Louis came by, and, now this guy got killed, and he's going to be a suspect. So we let it go. They ended up getting 4 years on the case. 2001 comes home. He's dating my wife's sister. She's only 20 years old. He's 50. Oh. I warned him twice, stay away. He's giving her drugs. She was, back then she was wild, young girl. And
yeah, but bro, come on, 30-year difference, homeboy.
So he's giving her drugs. My wife's family, Italian immigrants, they're busting my balls. Why you letting this guy date our daughter? He's giving her drugs. What are you doing? I go to him, hey, stay away. I will. He doesn't. They bust my balls. I go to him again, stay away. Finally, they had a sausage Italian store, deli and everything. And I'm in there, and my father-in-law just goes off. He's supposed to have, who are you? They don't got no respect for you. My friend Michael, who his grandfather was the boss of our city at one time, Skyball Shabelli. I said, Michael, give me a ride. I'm going to kill this kid tonight. So we go to kill him. I have Freddie bring him to the restaurant. Me and Michael, we had beepers back then. I said, beep me when you're 10 minutes to come out. We're parked in the car. This kid drives a Porsche, this guy. Freddie's with him. He beats me. I go park on the side. We're waiting for him to come out. He's got to walk by us. As he does, he's gonna pull up. I'm gonna get out and shoot him. But what happened? He parked his car closer, and they already were in the Porsche. So by the time I got up, I was gonna have to shoot in the Porsche. I probably could have hit Freddie as well. A small Porsche and everything. So we didn't hit him that night. And then my mother-in-law ends up going out to dinner with the daughter and him, and kind of like accepts them. So I washed my hands with it anyways, and just. We didn't do anything then. Then we find out he is an informant. And that's when we put a plot together. I had a whole dog. I had a stash house where I kept all my marijuana, AK-47s.
And he knew everything.
No, he didn't know nothing. But I told my two guys, bring him there and say you're going to rob the house. There's money and drugs in the house. So they brought him there. And long story short, he got shot and beaten and thrown in the hole.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable, as part of the life.
And he was an informant, so it was good information. He was, I don't have remorse over the killing. I feel bad for his family that he had kids. He had a daughter. I know that. So I don't feel good about that part of it. For his daughter. But he wasn't a good guy. He wasn't a good guy, especially for me, because he was too close to me. He was my wife's sister's husband, and that's too close for me because he's a grimy dude.
Right.
So he was an organized crime criminal. He was big into the drug game. He did drugs, and I didn't need somebody like that too close to me. And he was informing on me. So he was informing on me and my crew.
Talk about a liability. You gotta get that out of here.
He disappeared. Yeah. My boss asked me about it, and I said, I don't know what happened to the man.
That's interesting. Of all the Mafia folklore, this is like a whole new takeaway for me. The fact, and it makes perfect sense, the fact that when the boss, even after he's given you the direct order to do it.
Well, he didn't though.
That wasn't
so. I didn't get an order for him. So we were crazy. He was crazy and everything like this. I'm from Mass and Connecticut, and he would have fit perfect in my crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're all psychopath nuts.
Yeah.
And I had the biggest crew in Connecticut and Mass, huge money makers. I made millionaires out of my crew, and we were just wild. At that time that we killed him, my boss, the Genovese family is the power hold is in New York. So we're a faction of that in Connecticut and Mass. They also got one in Florida, and they got one in New Jersey for the Genovese family. So I'm over here. So the orders, they don't tell us what to do unless it comes to a dispute with another family. Our bosses will get involved, or a murder. So at this particular time where I killed my brother-in-law, we got three, I'm trying to kill a rival very viciously. I want to chop his head off. So that I want to do. Then I get an order to kill my best friend I grew up with because they were suspected of him being an informant. Okay? So I got that thing going on. And then I get an order to kill my boss of the Connecticut, Mass
from
family,
a higher place.
From the bosses So we got all that going on, and then I kill my brother-in-law. So all that's going on. My brother-in-law gets killed, then we kill my boss. and that was like 3 weeks later. And then, you know, prior to that, we shoot the guy in New York. That's how I got made into the family. And then there was just so much
It took all that for you to get made? You would have been
No,
made.
I got made in 2003 because I shot a union boss in New York 9 times. Okay. That's how I got formally inducted into the Mafia.
Damn.
And I got made in Newark. He'll tell you, like, you know, he knows the Mafia is the Mafia, but the power hold is in New York. But
right.
in New York is the power.
Yes. Right.
And so if you get made, like Connecticut, Mass, I got made direct with the bosses in New York.
So that
gave me all the power outside of New York.
Right.
When they see me,
right.
I got direct access
Contact
to the most powerful family.
Yes.
And they pricked my finger.
The motherland.
And burnt the saint in my hand.
I was going to say that you have to burn the saint?
Yeah, gun on the table, knife, you know, prick who you going to kill with what finger, prick it, blood. You know, family comes first.
Of all the families, would you say that the Gambino or the Genovese family has like the deepest history as far as money made and, you know, I know obviously you have a certain perspective on that.
Well, no, he's from New York, so obviously, but we all, because if you go back where it started back when they weren't even the Gambinos.
Right.
What was that, like Albert?
The Provenci family.
Colombo,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you had
Magadino. I mean,
yeah.
it goes back, and then they got those names like after the fact, like Joe Colombo.
Right.
You know, like the Colombo family, and so it started. But they were all powerful.
They're all equally powerful.
You have to be. It was an equal thing. Nobody at one time you couldn't have more soldiers than the other family. To keep it equal.
To keep the numbers you know, even. But I think the two most at the end were the Gambino and Genovese.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was, you know, as far as murdering,
right.
It was probably the Colombos.
Colombos and Bonanos, my family.
Yeah.
Now, as far as other mafias for other nationalities have, you know, you got the Mexican Mafia, Russian Mafia, Korea. There's several different mafias, Yakuzas. Who are some that you guys, like, who do y'all think is, like, the craziest? Who would you least want to have problems with?
Well, me right now, we did business, and my group, because I was heavily involved in with the marijuana business. Mm-hmm. So I did business with all kinds of, you know, the blacks, the Spanish, Jamaicans especially. I was doing business with those Jamaicans that were chopping up bodies in New York. They in the tub, like the crazy Jamaican posse.
Yeah.
I had them in my house with their kids. That was how close I was with them.
And all that,
Yeah, so like I did business with Italians, everybody, because of the fact is mostly because of the marijuana business. I was huge in the business. But I'll tell you who scares me the most today are those fucking
Mexican cartel?
That cartels. And then you see how they're killing people today? I mean, you know, as bad as I could be a killer. I don't give a fuck if I hate somebody. Like I told you, I hate that guy. I want to chop his head off, right?
Yeah.
I hate him with a passion. I'll shoot him in his head 20 times. But I could never torture, like you know what I mean? I don't like torture. Like when we killed my brother-in-law,
and kids,
when I
raping
killed
and
my
killing kids.
brother-in-law, I had my guy shoot him in the head to make sure he was dead before he went in the hole. Because you know what I mean? You know, that's a different type of murderer. You know, someone that these guys are like. I seen guys. I didn't see it. I watched videos. These guys are getting cut up alive with a knife. Yeah. This guy's cutting his knee off from the knee.
He's going, kids.
And he beats him and he starts hitting him with his knee, with his leg. You know, and one guy got killed. They put a hole. They threw him in the hole.
Yeah.
And then they put a rubber tire. The tire.
Burned him.
They put that. They poured all gasoline on the thing, you know, and then they lit him on fire. And oh my God,
I want absolutely zero beef with any of the cartels.
That's the thing. Don't ever let them get. If you know they're. Like if they're gonna get before they get, you gotta have one of those cyanide pills. You like and put it in your thing.
Right.
And kill.
Yeah.
Like in at the wartime, you get caught by the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, have one of those pills and make sure that they whack you. You know, you take yourself out because nobody wants to go out like that.
It was considered noble for samurais to kill themselves before they got by the enemy.
Oh yeah,
so,
that's a bad thing. But
yeah.
I think in a mutual thing too. All the legit organized crime groups respect each other, you know, as far as business wise. You're not going to see like the Russian organized crime like back in the day. It was like Mike Francesi was working with them in a big gas scam, making millions of dollars. I think a lot of organized crime, the Chinese, we were close with the Chinese out of Boston.
Okay.
You know, they got a big Chinatown. My boss was best friends with the bosses of the China. We used to go to Chinatown. They got treated just like dons of the mafia. Like you see John Gotti or the bosses get treated like they got treated like kings in those things.
Yeah, out here in the West Coast, the triads and all that.
Armenians are big out here too, right?
Armenians are big.
Yeah.
Russians are big. Like,
Absolutely.
there's a whole underworld that people don't even, That's
And you know why too is because those are the immigrants, the new immigrants coming here.
Correct.
You don't see no Italians
Albanians
no
are the
more.
worst too. Albanians are crazy.
Oh yeah,
Right?
I
Not out
beefed
here,
them my
though,
whole
right?
life. They're crazy as fuck.
New York is and Mass and Connecticut loaded. Albanians are big, but not.
I also
out-
know that in Europe they're the ones that do a lot of dirt
Yeah.
too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But here though, New York. I
Yeah,
mean, they were
yeah.
creating their sixth family in New York City. They were
they
shooting
were.
made guys.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, Albanians are when I last time I was in Europe and I was chopping it up with people. Actually, no, like it was earlier. It was probably around like 2009. I was out there. I was in Italy and France for a while, and I was talking to and you know how we say like, "What's up, pimp?" and it means like, you know what I mean, like that's like bro or you know what I mean, homie,
right,
whatever,
just a
right?
thing.
Yeah, what's up, dude? So I was calling. I'd be like, "What's up, pimp?" And like out there, like they're like, "Oh no, we associate the word pimp as like sex trafficking Albanians." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like and it means something completely different. I was like, oh. I'm like, I hear you, pimp. Like, but what's so as far as county jails and penitentiaries, would you say have you guys both been to Rikers before?
I'm from Mass.
I
Why?
friggin'
Yeah,
lived in
I
Rikers.
didn't know if you.
Well,
might,
he probably. I
I did 40 months in there.
I know you did a lot
Yeah.
of time in.
But in
Rikers.
New York, you know where I was? I was in Valhalla.
Yeah, I
You
was.
ever been there?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I've
That
heard
was,
that's-
and when I was locked up there, the whole tier I was on, the whole what do you call them, the cell block, the
Pod,
thing?
whatever. Yeah. So
Everybody in there was facing racketeer and murder charges. They had all the Latin
Mafia
kings.
guys.
They had a huge Newburgh out of Newburgh, huge drug gang out of there. They had Bloods guys there, and it was just me and like a couple other Italians at the time. But every guy there was facing, life sentences, 5 body cases, and everything while I was there.
Is there still enough numbers as far as Italians go in the penitentiary system for
Absolutely.
people to click up? In,
That's where they all are. All the real. That's where everyone is. The mob guys. They're in the feds.
okay, yeah, that makes sense because like out here, like if you're white and you get locked up, you're rolling with the Peckerwoods most likely. You know what I mean?
Well, you're talking like a federal penitentiary?
No, or even a state penitentiary.
Oh no,
like,
state there's no Italians.
So
in
in
the
our
in
state,
feds is a
yeah.
lot.
Mass is different, and I always say this: like we're loaded with Italian and Irish organized crime criminals. When I was there in 1990, I mean it was equal numbers: whites, blacks, Spanish, and the whites over there. They were all killers, like notorious killers.
Right.
We got a lot of Irish and organized crime criminals where you don't see that in other states. Sort of like the Westies were back in the day, with the Irish.
Absolutely.
with Irish
Westies-
dudes, yeah.
We're loaded with them, and we didn't have that racial division that you have. Like blacks can't talk to. I had
Yeah,
my
this is-
friends were black. When I first got to state prison, I went in at 20 years old. I was on the Spanish softball team, and I was playing. And we were a football team. I had blacks and Spanish on my team. I was the quarterback. So you didn't have that where you couldn't talk to like in other states where it was like, I
Right.
hate you because you're white and black and Spanish, and you had to stick to your own. We
Right.
stuck to our own as far as, we had Irish clubs and Italian clubs, but we also mixed in with all groups of life. And one other thing, federal prison, they go by cars, like the New York car and Boston car, usually they all ride together like they're close, and they don't join any of that white
They're not tripping on-
Aryans
yeah,
and all
no
that
Aryan
stuff.
brotherhood.
But my guy's the guy that killed Whitey Bulger in prison. He was in my crew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they butchered him.
Wow.
I mean, he was 90 years old. I mean, whatever. But yeah,
do you
he
think
was in
that movie was accurate?
Black Mass was a pretty accurate version, but Whitey Bulger was a badass gangster. I mean, a killer. I mean, back in the day, they don't talk. They got him for 19 murders.
Yes.
They're not counting none of the murders back in like the 50s and 60s when they had turf wars. The Irish have a big presence, like I said, mostly in Eastern Mass and Central Mass, and they were 60 guys died in that war. Back in like the 60s, my friend's uncle got killed. They were torturing guys. He would get them, sit them down, and torture them before they killed
Be
them.
sick, that guy.
He says, the guy was begging, please just shoot me in my head. So yeah, he was a notorious bad guy. He corrupted the FBI.
That's a crazy way to go out for somebody with such a stellar street
Yeah,
reputation.
absolutely.
Like, your last words are just like begging for.
But I always say this: that it was stupid.
Yeah.
My friend's doing life, but the guy that killed him with him, he was going to be coming home. He was doing 27 years. He was coming home in 2025. Wow. And so now he kills this guy. They pled guilty for it. And now, let's just say they pled guilty. He's probably going to get another life sentence or 30 years, whatever it is, right?
Right.
He was going to come home in 2025 to kill a 90-year-old man in a wheelchair, where if you left him alone, right, they probably went in there with the locks and the socks and hit him, and the guy was dead within 10 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
stepping on his head.
They could have slapped him 15 times and killed him, right?
Cut his eyes
Now,
out.
If they left him alive, he probably would have got cancer 6 months later and suffered a miserable death, because in prison,
So they kind of did him a favor.
They did him a favor.
Yeah, I totally get that. Now, I know you guys got a hard out at 4:30, so I don't want to keep you on any longer. It's 4:28 right now. Gene, I did want to know about, you recently shot a little doc in New York with Julian?
Yeah, Julian.
Shouts
and
to my boy Julian.
Sam LaRosse. Yes, Julian. He's like my manager now, basically.
That was a good dude, man.
And we shot a little documentary. It'll be coming out soon. I did it with Sam with Ross, with Chop LaRosse.
That's incredible.
It's coming out soon.
Well, look,
and real quick, I want to say I got a book also getting released September.
Okay, so your book comes out in September.
It's called South End Syndicate, and it's about Connecticut and Western Central Mass, and it's all about, the history of organized crime. Obviously, I have a big role in it, but it's going to be about that area, because you never really hear that much talked about. You always hear New York, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, bigger cities and everything, and Connecticut and where I'm from is a very big area, and it was some notorious gangsters.
For real, right. Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Well,
Jersey.
You were out that way,
Oh yeah. I spent some time in there. Yeah. My whole family's from the East Coast. Both my parents are from New York.
I had the biggest nightclub in Hartford.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hartford's definitely.
Yeah, Hartford's pretty cool.
Before we go, who's got better pizza, New York or Massachusetts?
New Haven.
New York.
New Haven.
New Haven?
Yep.
Connecticut.
New Haven got voted the best.
Pizza.
Modern, Pepe's and Sally's. Dave Portnoy, right? He judges them.
Can't fuck with it.
New Haven pizza. They said it. They everyone. But obviously New York and the north end of Boston, they're all good restaurants and pizzas, but it got voted New Haven has the best pizza.
No, I know.
Now, if you ask someone from New York, they're going to say New York, and if you ask someone from Mass, I'm going to say Mass. But I'm telling you what that guy said. He said New Haven.
Well, before this escalates and one of y'all catch another case, because I know this becomes really contentious. We don't play about our pizza, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I wish we could chop it. We could have made this 4 hours.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another one.
We would love to spin the block and have y'all come back.
Yeah.
Definitely when your book drops, you know what I mean? But both of y'all would love to chop it up further.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to come
Very,
back.
very dope. Thank you
Beautiful
for your time.
studio and
Yes,
everything.
bro.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Anytime. Much love. Any final thoughts for the people?
I'm on Instagram too, also Anthony. My nickname is Bingy, so it's Bingy Arillotta.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm also have a Discord coming out where I'm teaching people how to, in real estate, how to wholesale houses. I have a Discord teaching them, and I also am going to partner up with them if they can't offload the houses. I'll help them sell it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And split them with them 50-50.
I might want to join that Discord.
Yeah.
Actually.
And that's nationwide.
My Instagram's my name, Gene Borrello. That's all right now.
I'm gonna connect with both of y'all. We're gonna keep this lit.
Yeah, 100%.
Once again, this has been a Lush World exclusive. Shouts to Big Rick. Shouts to You Ain't Hard Fool. Shouts to Julian for QB in the situation. Shouts to No Jumper. You feel me? And we about this biatch. Out this biatch.